Library of Heaven's Path. Chapter 59, The Frenzied Students. The Frenzied Students. I have already found an excuse for grandfather to take action. Cao Xianglishi has a student named Lu Yang, and this Lu Yang was coerced by Zhang Xuan to become his student. Cao Xianglishi has already applied for an enlightenment will trial, which will be conducted tomorrow. By then, as long as grandfather makes a move, it would be an easy task to strip him of his license. Shangbin squeezed these words through gritted teeth. The deception Cao Xiang spoke of turned into coercion through his words. There was a world of difference between these two words. Deception only meant that there's something wrong with that person's personality. On the other hand, coercion was a matter of morals. Coercion? Are you sure? Elder Shang Chen was taken aback. I'm sure. Shangbin nodded his head affirmatively. If that's the case. How about this, tomorrow, I will invite Elder Mo over for him to witness the process. If the result of the Enlightenment will trial shows that Lu Yang did not willingly become his student, then there is the possibility for him to be stripped of his teaching license. After hesitating for a moment, Elder Shang Chen said, "Thank you, grandfather." Excitement shone in Shangbin's eyes. With the presence of teachers came qualifications, and the organization that protected the identity of teachers was the Teacher Guild. The guild had the authority to inspect the actions of teachers, as well as to strip them of their license. There was a similar organization called the Ministry of Education in Zhang Xuan's previous world. Teachers were role models. To guide a student along their path, they must first make the students concede to them, so that they were willing to learn from them. If they were to coerce them, thus causing the student to be jaundiced, it was possible for their licenses to be revoked. As for how to gauge whether one was truly willing to become the student of a teacher, the Enlightenment will trial was the most impartial method. Brat, you might be gleeful now, but let's see how you can continue being so arrogant when your teaching license is revoked tomorrow. Upon the thought that he would be able to exact vengeance for all of the grudges in the past, Shangbin clenched his fists subconsciously and a surge of exhilaration ran through his body. Zhang Xuan didn't know that someone had already set up a ploy against him. After a night of rest, he felt energized. Looking into the mirror, he noticed that after cultivating the Heaven's Path golden body yesterday, his body became even whiter and smoother, similar to that of an infant. There wasn't a single scar or such on his body. Overall, he looked much younger as well. Those who were oblivious to his identity might even think that he was a student. Not bad, he said, before heading to the classroom with giant strides. Arriving at the classroom, the first thing he noticed was that the interiors of the room had been cleaned spick and span by his 5 students, and even the drinking water had already been boiled. Wang Ying, Lu Yang, Zhen Yang, Zhao Ya, and Yuan Tao were all energized. All of them stared at Zhang Xuan with looks of reverence and excitement. Initially, these few students had all thought that they were deceived into acknowledging a fellow who was last in the teacher qualification examination as their teacher. However, after the lesson yesterday, they realized that even though his reputation was terrible, he was, indubitably, an incredibly capable figure. This feeling resonated especially so for Wang Ying. After reciting those theories her teacher spoke of to her father and the elders of the family, they were all filled with praises for him. In fact, there were even some parts of it that they were incapable of comprehending. After which, they insisted in bringing Wang Tao over to acknowledge him as his teacher. From this incident itself, his standards were clear to see. How could one not feel excited upon having such a person as their teacher? Seems like everything is in order today. Zhao Ya, take this medicinal herb, crush it into powder and swallow it along with water. Also, this is a cultivation technique that I have just handwritten. If you cultivate by the methods written on it, you should be able to fully recover in 3 days or so. Seeing the expressions reflected in everyone's eyes, it was impossible for Zhang Xuan to not know what they were thinking. Nodding his head, he passed the frigid sun mother grass, which he bought yesterday night, and a book to Zhuoyang. Zhuoyang's illness was caused by her cultivation of a pure yin cultivation technique. After browsing through all of the books in the teacher's compendium pavilion, Zhang Xuan used the library of Heaven's Path to derive a solution for her problem. Even though the cultivation technique paled far in comparison to his Heaven's Path divine art, it was still a skill derived from the extraction of the essence of 10 different books, and it was extraordinarily valuable. There were still flaws within it, but the remaining ones didn't really affect the whole situation. Yes. Zhuoyang grabbed the medicinal herb and placed it into her embrace before casually flipping open the book. She noticed that the ink was still fresh, and it was clear that it was just written. After taking a brief look at it, her eyes narrowed and she looked at him in disbelief. Zhang, although I am new here, I have heard of most of the renowned secret manuals in the academy. This manual is several times more incredible than my white jade pure maiden skill. Why have I never heard of it? Furthermore, why isn't there a name on this book? As the daughter of a city lord, Zhuoyang had a massive collection of books in her home. She had browsed through many different secret manuals, which helped build her eye of discernment. This book in her hand was clearly several folds stronger than the white jade pure maiden skill that she cultivated before. However, why had she never heard of it? Whenever one copied a cultivation technique, one would always write the name of the creator on it. However, not a trace of information on its creator could be seen on this book, causing Zhuoyang to be puzzled. Oh, this book is something that I have just compiled and wrote down based on your physical condition, so there's no name for it. If you find it difficult to refer to it like that, you can name it as you like. Zhang Xuan said. The Library of Heaven's Path extracted the correct portions of each secret manual and compiled them into a book. The book that was compiled by the library did not have a name, and he couldn't be bothered to name it either. Thus, he passed it to her right after he casually copied it down. He didn't expect for Zhuoyang to ask about it, thus he answered it casually. What? Teacher, wrote it himself? This means, this is a cultivation technique created by teacher? Not only Zhuoyang was taken aback, the others also narrowed their eyes and all of them nearly passed out on the spot. Every single one of those who managed to successfully create a cultivation technique was grandmaster level figures, experts who left a mark in history. For their obscure teacher to be capable of creating a cultivation technique. Not to mention, such an advanced one, are you for real? You can say so. The Library of Heaven's Path could not be explained, and these books came out of nowhere. Thus, it didn't matter whether Zhang Xuan said if he was the one who created them or not. Thinking nothing about it, he casually nodded his head. Incredible. White Jade Pure Maiden Skill, this skill was created by a fighter 8 Dan Zongxi realm expert in our family. For teacher to be able to create a cultivation technique of much higher tier than this so easily, exactly how strong is he? Seeing him admit to it, the 5 students found themselves on the verge of going insane. Since the inception of Hongtian Academy, there had been less than a few who had successfully created a cultivation technique throughout its century of history. Every single one of them was reputable and influential figures. Yet, their own teacher was capable of the very same feat as well. They found themselves giddy-headed from the reverence they were feeling towards him. Furthermore, the most important of all, what did Zhang Lishi just say? He said that if you find it difficult to refer to it like that, you can name it as you like. The heck? Every master went through a lot just to create their own cultivation technique. Thus, they viewed it as their treasure and only passed it down to their main disciples. Yet, after creating a cultivation technique, not only did this Zhang Lishi freely gift it to others, he was even lazy to name them, allowing his students to name them as they pleased. One must know that the future generations tend to only remember the one who named the skill, rather than the creator himself. Such an opportunity to leave his mark in history, but he wasn't bothered by it in the least. Isn't he way too indifferent to material successes? One's conduct can't get any nobler than that. No wonder Zhang Lishi still remains an obscure figure despite being so capable, even carrying the notoriety as the worst teacher in the academy. To think that he would be such a noble person, a person who views fame as dirt. Zhang Lishi. Upon thinking about these, the eyes of the 5 students reddened. They were so moved that they were on the verge of bursting into tears. What's wrong with you all? Seeing his students who were still acting normally a moment ago suddenly staring at him with reddened eyes, Zhang Xuan was confused. These students, could they have gone mad at the same time?